I'm Heather Bennerum with the Athens Land Trust, and I'm here to present on Project 68, Greenspace Acquisition Program. This is a continuation of an existing SPLOST program that's currently in effect. One of the things about the Greenspace program, it's right now the way it operates, just to give, I don't know how many of you know about the program even, but there's a group of stakeholders. It includes Sandy Creek Nature Center, Athens Land Trust, Oconee River Land Trust, Sustainability Office, the Planning Department. There's some more too. Audubon. Anyway, a group of individuals that come together to try to solve community needs through Greenspace. So the importance of Greenspace. You can see the left, it looks nice, right? The right is what we see a lot around town. The thing is, I noticed that Athens-Clarke County is asking for about $30 million in SPLOST funds from you guys to address stormwater issues in our community. And the reality is, if we do something on the front end, like protect land that's needed to be protected, it outperforms engineered solutions, and it costs a lot less, and it doesn't have ongoing expense like the engineered solution. So they're going to come back again and ask for more and more, because you have to keep re-engineering. Those systems fail, and they have to be updated. Nature doesn't fail as often. So it's I think, a reasonable solution. Some of the recent work, just because again, I don't know how many people know about this program, but this is something that we've been working on recently. So I think the Beach Haven group came and presented to you all. So that's the Beach Haven track. And then this is part of Hampton Park, back behind Hampton Park. It almost goes all the way over to Oglethorpe. This is Columbia Brookside, backs up to it. So the idea is there's going to be the potential to put trails all through these properties, even across the river, that would get people that live all back in here to Broad Street in an efficient and effective way, while also protecting the environment and our drinking water and all kinds of things, right? And then we're one tract away from getting all the way to Ben Burton, which means everybody that lives at Westchester would have a way that would cut off, I think it's like 4 miles now for them to get to Broad Street, and it would cut it down to less than 1.5 miles. So it's solving other issues as well. Some of the past successes, so Dudley Park is property that's been purchased through the Greenspace program, which is a lot of the Greenway Trail, and that nice park. Beach Haven, which is currently, a project you know about. Tallahassee is another project that I believe came and presented to you all. So without this Greenspace program, none of those things would be happening. We're very successful at leveraging funds. So far, we've matched dollar for dollar. Every SPLOST dollar that's been put into the project, we've raised outside money of a matching dollar, so the money goes a long way. We're really effective with it. We've used bargain sales. Foundations have supported it. One of the new, exciting, upcoming potential match sources is the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Act. That's going to be about $22 million a year at the state that will be allocated to different projects around the state. So we've identified that as a potential funding source. Conservation easements, that's a way that a landowner continues to own the land, and then they protect it and usually grant certain rights to local government without having to pay for the whole thing. And then farmland protection is another program that we've used in the past to match these funds. And a nice thing about that program is it matches, for every $1 local dollar that goes in, you get $3 of federal or other funds to come into the program. Another way that we've looked at leveraging the program, the Land Trust, Athens Land Trust, has used this program as a way to leverage outside foundation support to create programming for youth workforce development. So we're training crews of high school and just post-high school underemployed youth, pretty much young adults, in skills around arbor, planting native plants, removing invasives, all these things that lead to skills that allow them to get jobs. As far as how it meets the community's plans, it's identified in the Envision Athens plan to have 20% of our community protected as green space, but we're not there yet. So it's important, this funding, to be there so that we can meet the plan. It's also listed in the 2018 comprehensive plan. Our expected outcomes are to hit that 20% mark, to be equity driven when we're doing this work. So like I showed you for Westchester and other areas, we're looking at populations that need to be served with solutions, not just what's convenient. And then it creates healthier communities for people and wildlife. And then protecting farmland, so you protect high quality soils so that you can grow food to support our community over the long term. I'm really fast.
Questions?
Yes, ma'am.
How far are we from the 20%?
Okay, it's tricky to calculate because there are things that wind up changing, like buffer areas the local government puts, how many feet to protect creeks or waterways. So some of those things can change. I want to say we're at about 17% right now. Yes, sir.
Is there an inducement with a conservation easement to move that property off the tax roll so that they can get some relief, or how does that work?
So what it does is, depending on how many rights they give up, it reduces the value of the property. So say you couldn't build a subdivision,
sure,
that reduces it somewhat. So it changes their assessment. But for a lot of these property owners, they're already in CUVA, which is a conservation use valuation assessment. It's a temporary reduction that the state has that you can put on ag land or undeveloped land. So a lot of them are already paying a reduced tax rate, so it doesn't change it that much, it just makes it permanent.
Are these easements in perpetuity, or
yes,
are they tied?
Forever. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's one thing we think is important to do. That's it, yeah.
So you're talking about, I'm just using this as an example, that when you showed the map and the connection to Westchester.
Yes, yes.
So this is just for acquisition, that wouldn't actually provide the trails and other things that we needed to use. So there needs to be additional funding for.
Yeah, I mean, it would potentially be, I would guess, a Greenway project at some point. But the trick is, if you don't get the land now, you're not going to have those connections in the future. Yes, sir.
So do we not own Beach Haven now?
You do.
We do.
So this is this is one that we did just purchase with this past round of SPLOST.
Okay.
Right. So that's what makes it possible for this other group to come forward to say, look, there's this land set aside. These are the things we've identified that we'd like to do there. Yes?
So your $8 million, are you thinking it would just tackle that property, or do you have other properties in mind?
No, we've got a long list of properties around the community that would meet different needs in different places.
Like a west side potential park, for instance, and
potentially. One of the issues there, just to be very clear, is so for Greenspace, there's certain ecological and environmental measures that you have to hit. And so Greenspace funds, for example, can't be used to build ball fields or turf or things that don't actually result in stormwater retention or habitat protection or these certain things that we're trying to accomplish. So it would depend on the type of park. Like you see Tallahassee or Beach Haven, they're asking, I think, for more passive parks with trails and those types of things. I don't think that's what the West Side Park is trying to accomplish, but there may be a way to partner.
So this map that you're showing us, those are the pieces of land that were purchased?
There's some of them. There's some of them. I was just trying to give you guys a flavor of some of the stuff that's been going on. Yeah, these are some.
When did this program start? When is the first time it was SPLOST funded?
05, was 05 a SPLOST or 03? Was 05 a SPLOST? 05 and then 2011, yes.
Okay. And so what are some, so Beach Haven, like just listing some of the other pieces of land that have been acquired. So Beach Haven,
yeah.
Tallahassee, and Dudley, are those the primary ones thus far? Or are there other ones?
There are other ones.
There's Williams Farm.
That one wasn't purchased with it, but there was another farm that was protected, the Langdale farm.
I'm just talking about property
that we have. Andrew?
So Major, our office
Sorry.
helps to coordinate this. Mike does, is our lead on that. some major properties that have been protected would include Tallahassee, Beach Haven, Rock and Shoals, if you're familiar with that,
There
is
you go.
on the south side of the county. We picked up little fragments along the MLK Greenway that is currently being built. So properties that were in the flood zone, houses were unsuitable. It's really a best practice for us to protect that floodplain and pull those structures out. We also have the pieces around Dudley. We have the Langdale Farm, Sandy Creek Buffer. And one of the things that you asked about was scale. We actually have an approved list that's around $7 million of land. And Dudley Farm.
That's impressive, right? And I guess the thing I can say is, so the way this program was conceived in 2005 was, SPLOST is generally looked at as an infrastructure expense, right? And so this is green infrastructure. So instead of putting cement and concrete in the ground, you're using nature as the green infrastructure to do those same things, but they do it better. It does better for water filtration, better to clean the air, to clean the water, all these things.